Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Maria West here. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. This is episode 375 and my 17th installment of my video series, Conversations with Men. And today I have with me one of my favorite people, Logan Hart, one of my colleagues at One Great Work Network, and he's with the Wizard Factory. He's doing all kinds of stuff. Welcome, Logan.
Hello. Thanks
Hello.
for having me. I'm very
Oh,
happy to be here. Hello to all the beautiful
absolutely.
viewers.
I'm excited. I'm excited. So, one of the things that I get asked about is just about the awakening process, and especially for a lot of young people who are, in the last 5 years, we have undergone this rapid whirlwind of reality in our faces. And so what do you have to say to that? Especially your process of awakening, like how did that happen for you? Did it come in drips and dribbles, or was it just like rude? And when was it?
Yeah, I love the question, and it's so important and a great place to start this conversational journey. So it is definitely a process, as you said, that is key. I say awakening is not a light switch, it's a dimmer knob.
Yes.
And there's really no max setting either. It doesn't just kind of stop at a certain point. It just keeps going and going. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely for me, it's something that came in layers. Most of the time were pretty dramatic shifts in some aspect of the way I view the world, what you might call a paradigm
Mhm.
shift of sorts. And it's like we all have these filters that we view the world from. It's, in psychology, it's called a schema. It's essentially how, we're having raw experiences as we navigate reality,
Yeah.
but our brains are constantly processing that information and trying to make sense of the world and looking for patterns. And we have these sort of blueprints that we run everything through. It's like, okay, this happened, and based on what I know of the world, this is what it means, and this is how I can learn from that experience. And so when we have these big shifts in some aspect of this worldview or this informational processing filter, so to
Mhm.
speak, then there's so much work that goes into what to do, like kind of the aftermath of it,
Yes.
because it's almost like you just this wall comes crashing down, and now you're left with all the pieces, and you have to put the whole wall back together again,
Yes.
but with this new way of thinking. And this applies to each thing that you have to pass through. So that's kind of how I have experienced the awakening process, which is, ongoing, and
Yes.
I wouldn't want it any other way if it ever, could
When did it
even.
start for you?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because on one hand, I've always been kind of more of a deep thinker and a questioner of things, and I mean, it got me into a lot of trouble when I was young
Right
because
on.
if
Yay,
I thought
troublemakers.
I yeah, if I thought I knew better than some authority that was telling me something, I was like, I'm not doing that. Like even if I was just being a dumb kid and actually maybe something they were telling me was for my own good, I always had that kind of rebellious think for myself quality. But like most people, I was still bred and raised into many programs, right?
Mhm. Right.
Belief systems,
Yeah.
mind control, this and that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what has been for me is I've always had that key component to my psychology, but I would say it wasn't until about 18 or 19 when the first veil started to lift for me, and that was religion. So
Right
I was,
on.
yeah, it's a big one.
It's
Yeah, a
a
good place to
huge
start.
one. Yeah, really huge.
So I was born and raised in in the South in Texas, pretty much Bible Belt, just classical, conservative Christian household. So I was all about God and Jesus. I wasn't just lukewarm Christian like many. I was into it. I went to Sunday school and Bible study and all of this kind of stuff. So
Wow.
um, I guess that's just part of who I am is whatever it is that I'm doing, like I'm about it. I'm a passionate person and I dive deep into it. But around that age, I started feeling my passion and my fervor kind of waning and just getting kind of like I don't know about all this. And then it was kind of the combination of that and a friend of mine that I had at the time who was very, very atheist and science minded. He was all about Star Trek and, just like, th- you know, going
Yeah,
boldly where no man has gone
I
before.
know
But
that one.
with science though, and everything spiritual is just make believe and this and that. And so even though that is not a true paradigm, it was a stepping stone from where I was.
Cool.
So I kind of went through that first, what I call dismantling period. That's what I call it, is when you have to
That is a
dismantle.
great way to put it.
Yeah, and just kind of shed that dead skin off and then kind of be born again into this new paradigm. And so I swung pretty hard from, the Christian mindset into sort of scientism, nihilism, materialism, all of that
Mhm.
kind of stuff.
Wow.
And but with a little flavor of quantum physics. So it's kind of funny how we could get into this, but I think that's a little bit more of kind of a new age agenda where it's this blending of science with the kind of new age ideologies
Yes.
that lead to things like solipsism and my reality and all this kind of stuff. Um, yeah. So I
I
mean,
love it. I love it. What year was this about?
that
Just
would have
for
been
context.
about 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, around 2005. It was right after high school. I graduated in '04, and then shortly after that I went into the military.
Oh my
Yay!
God. What branch?
Air Force.
Okay. Okay. There, my guy is an retired Air Force colonel.
Wow.
Lordy. So,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. Okay. How long were you in the Air Force? I did not know this about you.
A lot of people don't, and they're
Mm-hmm.
surprised based on what they know of me now. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
you were in the military? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that is a testament to the work that can be done for
Yes.
going from that mindset to a place of higher awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I was in for 2.5 years, so not a full term.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
uh I got other than honorable discharge, which is not dishonorable, but it's not honorable either.
Yes.
Same type of thing. I
You
didn't
just
follow the
weren't going
rules
for
so
it.
good, right? It's like my programming was running the show, but yet my soul was still kind of like
Yes.
having that friction there, and like, oh,
Yes.
this isn't
And
quite
that
right.
time, in my opinion, was very critical in terms of, shit was getting rocked in a major way after 2004, 2005.
Mm,
Post 9/11, I mean, there was shit just ramping up and ramping up, just these flash bombs that were just in everybody's face. And I can imagine as a young person where you're just like, whoa, what is happening here? And then diving in, after doing the swing into the military, what was that like for you? I mean, it had to have been like, I can't even imagine you in the military, let alone
yeah,
two and a
I
half
know.
years. Holy
Yeah,
moly.
yeah. Well, you know, I mostly joined because I wanted a pathway to college.
Okay.
That was
Okay,
my
that's fair.
incentive, right? So it wasn't like I want to go, bomb people or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, a little government welfare, right? I want, set myself up for a future and all that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. That's fair.
But getting in there, it was like every part of it was just did not agree with me. And I didn't agree with it. It was a mutual misfit,
Yeah.
if you will,
Yeah.
because my peers didn't get me, I didn't get them. So I was kind of like I became this weird loner because I didn't really like the people that I worked with, even though we
Hmm.
all lived together in the dorm. So that was a bit of a volatile situation, anyways,
Wow.
because it's like it's not enough to be with these people all day throughout the work week. You're with them all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
You set foot outside your door, they're all just standing out
Oh
around
my
like drinking
God.
beer and blaring ACDC and beer bong. I mean, it was and my first station, by the way, was in England.
Oh,
So
wow.
so
Okay.
19 years old, I'm in the military, I'm in the dorms, and I'm in the UK. So it was all about the party. Yeah. It was a mess.
Love it so
It
much.
was just so really ugly and shameful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I went through it and got it out of my system at the time,
Yeah.
you know. But it's funny because yeah, I didn't follow rules so good and end up pretty much just like eventually getting the boot, I guess you could say. And like 1 or 2 weeks before I was literally leaving the base to go back home, finish my discharge and all this kind of stuff, a friend of mine invited me over to his dorm room and he's like, "You got to watch this film, this documentary." And it was called Wake Up Call: New World Order. Okay? And it was like this Frankenstein uh of different documentaries.
Yeah.
Was like Loose Change,
Yeah.
Zeitgeist,
It was
Alex
dramatic.
Jones. And so I watched this movie and just got this crash course of the financial, the fractional reserve scam and like 9/11 and microchips
Oh
and I was just
shit.
like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going
Yeah. That's
on?
hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah. As I'm leaving the military, so that was fun.
Wow.
And that, needless to say, that was my next project. That was my
Yeah.
next dismantlement stage. So, the religion first, and then government and, well, the control structure of the
Right.
world, I guess you
That
could say,
that is a heavy shitstorm. I
within a few years of each other, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And that's kind of how it was for me. And this was back in
Hmm.
like the late 70s, early 80s when the shit was just coming down and you're just like I'm trying to talk to my friends about, oh, hell no. Hell no. I was born way too early. I should have been born around the time you were born because it would have been a lot better, I think, for me. And not so hellish. But continue on. I am riveted by this. So when you came back, what was like on the forefront of your mind as far as you just saw this, you just got a download and a bitch slapping at the same
Hmm.
time? How did you, like, what was the first thing that you dove into?
Hmm. Well, I would say Facebook was a good tool at the time, which is weird to say. Things were quite a bit less censored back then, and there was lots of just truth memes and just, I spent a lot of time on there learning about like Monsanto, like the food system and
Mm-hmm.
chemtrails and just
Mm-hmm.
all your standard
Yeah.
tinfoil
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, and I'll tell you, it was pretty wild too because it was like this double layer of culture shock coming back to America, not only after not, in being in a foreign country for 2 years,
Yeah,
but then there was that extra layer of like, the greatest country on earth isn't what I thought it was.
exactly.
And
It's
just like
not what we
looking
think.
around. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
it was a interesting time, and it definitely took some adjustment and just some time to digest and
Hmm.
integrate that.
Hmm.
And I very much became one of those annoying uh doomsday kind, or just like, everything's poison, and don't you know they're trying to kill us, and which
For decades, I
you
was
know,
like that.
which, yeah, those things are true,
They're
but
true. They're
there's a
true.
certain level of calibration that you kind of have to come to, of like,
Yeah,
pick your battles, learn
yeah.
how to talk about this stuff and in moderation, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how right you are.
No,
Some people just don't want to hear it.
they
And
don't want
all
to
they're
hear
going to,
it, and
they're
they will
just going to get
fuck you
really,
up.
yes. Yes, they will get very annoyed and ostracize you or tell you off or whatever it may be. And that happened a lot. And the other thing that happened is, now I'm out of the military. I don't have quite the same restraints on me. So I started kind of dabbling in exploring with psychedelics. And that was the thing that kind of reignited my more truly spiritual side.
Mm.
So that had
Mhm.
been dormant for all these years, after just like, oh, it's all bullshit. It's all just, man-made coping with things they don't understand, because they didn't have science yet to
Mhm.
give them all the
Right.
answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I saw the things that I was seeing on DMT and psilocybin and LSD, I was like, okay, might need to rethink this a little bit. There's more to this reality thing than just what is readily seen.
Exactly. Exactly. Beyond the five, or rather the seven senses, five
Mm,
senses, third eye, and our seventh sense of generosity and care, for instance. So
right.
that's cool. That's cool. And very, very similar for me too. It's like there's some gatekeeping that happens. And unless you are rattling that gate or have the audacity to just sort of morph yourself and just squeeze through if it ain't opening, it's like there's a barrier or an envelope, like the cellophane envelope that prevents you from expanding your reality beyond the confines of what the matrix is telling you.
Mm.
And that was crucial. So good for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm getting closer to truth now, but I'm still looking for answers. And I'm just like, okay, my veil was split wide open, but now I don't really have any good operating system yet, right? So I'm just
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
trying to make sense of all of this. So that's when I got really into the sort of more very new agey side of things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
spirit science, and
Mm-hmm.
like Teal Swan, and this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and again, like, I've kind of taken things with me as I've moved through these different paradigms. I'm
Yes.
not throwing out the baby with the bathwater,
Yeah,
and there's a
that's
lot of
not
good
what it's
stuff there.
about. It's not black and white. It's not, there's so much intermingling and interspersed reality. It's like when you decide that, oh, prana is real,
Yeah,
light photons are real, color is real. You can
chakras.
actually see them, see the differences if you open up to seeing beyond what we're trained to limit ourselves to only perceive. It's amazing.
Right. So yeah, I got pretty into that, and with all of the trappings that come with that as well. Like I said, it's a mixed thing, and I do think that to some degree, these are all sort of booby traps
Yeah. What was the
that
biggest
are
trap that you
designed.
discovered with all that? I'm curious.
Um, just well, the biggest one with that realm is definitely the solipsism. the my truth, your truth, this is true for me.
My truth
You
is truer than
you
yours.
you
That's my
create your
favorite.
own reality, this kind of thing. Like,
Mhm.
I get what they're trying to say, but it's just a really bad way to word that because there's only one reality. We don't have our own realities. We have our own perceptions,
Yes.
and that's a much better word for it. When you
Yes.
start intermingling truth and reality with perception, belief, feeling, all of these other subjective things,
Yeah.
it's very dangerous
Yeah.
because then it's all blurred and you
Yeah.
can't distinguish objective from subjective, which
Yeah.
is really, really important. So that was the big one. But like also uh just the trying to think here. I had it in mind. The feminization of that realm, really. Like everything is very feeling based,
Hmm.
subjective, internal, right?
Hmm.
Um Meditation, a non-judgment, non-attachment. It's all this very like softened. So I really think even more so that realm is more healthy for women because it does kind of like uh nurture those softer aspects
Hmm.
of the feminine. But men who are very involved in that world can tend to get a little bit like uh like neutered, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
The
Like
snag, the sensitive
feminized.
new age guy.
Right, right, right. Just go
Don't
with the
go there.
flow and like,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
stay away from me.
Like, oh, if you've hitting resistance in life, then the universe is telling you like that's not your path. You should go a different way. It's like, come on, dude. Do
Sometimes
you
it is. Sometimes you need to just grow a pair.
you gotta power the fuck
Yeah, you
through.
gotta power the fuck through.
Like
You know
like
that
if our
one.
ancestors had that mindset,
Oh my God, they'd be
we
dead.
wouldn't even we wouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
So it's kind of like ironically a very privileged kind of mindset. But
Yes, yes.
yeah. So I had to balance out from a lot of that and that kind of
How
came
did you
full
do that
circle.
though? I've had people ask me, well, okay, this is happening. So they have this giant epiphany. And as you have described, giant epiphanies, when truths reveal themselves, shit hits the fan in your personal life because you cannot, once the awakening process begins, you can't go back to sleep. You can't hit snooze.
Mhm.
You can try to like fit in to certain shitstems, but the fact is it's not going to work out well, and you have to face the music, so to speak, the discord within your being and your doing, and they all have to everything's got to be speaking the same language. How did you do that? Like, what were some of your tools that you had to, well, maybe you had to create them, I don't know.
It's as I was saying, it's very much a full circle thing.
Mhm.
I'm still a work in progress now, but I do feel that I've kind of like balanced all of the like I've gone through that full gamut of things and arrived in a place of much more balance. But at that time I wasn't there yet.
Mhm.
So there's a couple more steps that were crucial to getting me
Okay.
where I am now. And I wasn't aware of this feminization thing at the time. Um, and I would say I was still in a better place there than I had been before.
Okay.
But just to slightly answer your question before I move forward with the story, is the one thing that I've always been able to count on is just trusting myself. trusting my own inner voice
Beautiful.
and intuition. That is the one, that is your only constant, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's the only thing that's going to be truly faithful to you above anything else that's external. But you have to make sure you're listening to the right voice that's really you, and
Yes.
not a program
Yeah.
or phantom of something else that's
Yes.
not you.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Yeah.
so true. And that in and of itself takes a lot of unpacking, because I hear young people, I I didn't realize that wasn't even my belief. Or they realize it was their mom's belief or grandfather, whoever. And then to extricate yourself from that mindset and discover what your own mindset is. Like, what are you leaning toward? You know,
Mm.
wow, how cool for you.
But see, the mindset can shift, but I
Hmm.
believe you are always you. You've always been you,
Yes.
even from a child. Like, I love looking back at things that happened to me as a child, and I could see the raw meanness in that, even though I was so, like, unrefined and I didn't understand, like, so much of what was actually happening. But
Hmm.
that spark of Logan
Yeah.
was always there, you know? So, I mean, if you don't have that, those listening, that would be the first thing you have to start with to cultivate, is a connection with yourself,
Hmm. Yeah.
a genuine, authentic connection with yourself, not the way like an addict connects with the drug, or
Hmm.
two abusive lovers connect. It's a different,
Yeah.
it's real, and it has to be in that care for yourself,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's a practice.
Yeah. That
So,
that's well said right there, because the practice of self-care, the practice of speaking to yourself, thinking about yourself
mm,
in a loving manner, a respectful manner, um, is like nobody ever talked to me about those things. I had to
mm,
learn that, and I learned that much later in my life. Um, but as you say, that little spark of the true me was always there, always, always, always throughout, my earliest remembrances into my
yes.
my little baby self, remembering that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Did you have particular mentors who, like took you by the hand and said, "Hey, come over here. Let's talk about this." Or were you pretty much on your own?
I very much have been on my own for pretty
Mhm.
much all my life, and
Yeah.
maybe I, I could perception, is important. I could be a
Hmm.
victim and be like, "Oh, like I've just always been on my own." But I see that as a good thing, even though it was hard, very, very hard and lonely and painful at times.
Hmm.
Um, it forced me to learn self-reliance,
Yes.
because when you know that no one's coming to save you, you have to be looking out for you. That is what helps cultivate that
Yes.
self-care and
Yeah.
that inner voice. And but at the same time, I would say that I've had many mentors, just not in the flesh, like in
Yes.
a relational style, but
Hmm.
through, books and videos and
Hmm.
things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So, and I wanted to mention too, about, because while, just before we move on from the self-care thing, self-care has almost become a meme these days. There's so much about that. But self-care does not mean lighting some candles and taking a bath, or treat yourself and eat that Snickers bar or whatever it is.
Yes.
That is so
I
indicative
hear
of
you.
the
I hear
Western
you.
mentality of, like, the
New age
action, or
bullshit.
the like externalization. What
Hmm.
self-care really is having a relationship with yourself. And like, but really think about what that means. It's how you talk to yourself. It's how you the actions
Yes.
that you take, not like, oh, I'm going to do a self-care thing now.
Yeah.
No, it's, am I doing things that are a disgrace
Yes.
to my soul? Am
Yes.
I disrespecting myself
Yes.
with this action?
Yes.
You know, things like that.
Yeah.
That's really what
Am
self-care
I
means.
polluting myself? The
Yes,
company
right,
that I keep, who are these people? What
right.
energy do I
Energetic
have? Yeah.
pollution, chemical pollution with
Hmm.
junk food, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could call it treating yourself all you want, but
Yeah.
if you're eating
I don't
crap,
buy it. I don't buy it in a
yeah,
nanosecond. I don't.
right. What you're doing is feeding your
What
addiction,
are you ingesting in your consciousness? Like what
right?
has your attention, your focus?
Mental diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So great thing to dive in there. I'm glad we covered that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is super, super important. And it's really funny because that is part of that's a huge part of what I endeavor to instill in my clients and my students who are recovering from massive abuse. That whole, I mean, it's a paradigm shift to be conscious of how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, how you clothe yourself, how you cleanse yourself, the self-talk, all of that stuff,
Mm,
the relationships that you have. And a
yes.
lot of these, when like I have the worksheet and they're like, they don't want to go there. It's like
Hmm.
they just don't want to go there. And yet it is such a crucial step, as you said, to like get over the hurdle of flawed thinking, get over
Hmm.
the hurdle of seeing yourself as a victim or seeing yourself as a
Yes.
perpetrator for that much, for that, that somehow you're just all wrong and flawed and all that kind of stuff. And yet
Right.
it's so huge, people just bang their heads up against this sort of proverbial wall that is, it's self-created, really,
Mhm. Yep.
because there is no wall, because at the end of the day, you realize, oh shit, this is all me. And
Hmm.
how can I retrieve these parts of me and be the divine, true, loving being that I really am organically?
Hmm. Yes. You have to take responsibility. There's no way around that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because if you feel like, oh, everyone treats me so bad, I just keep trying and no one appreciates me. All of these stories, and I've had it too. So I'm coming
Hmm.
from a place of
Yep.
compassion. I understand that, but the answer is to look at yourself, because if that is happening,
Hmm.
it doesn't excuse the bad behavior of
Yes.
other people. That's very important. People are still accountable for their part in what the roles they're playing. However, if this is a recurring theme, this is a pattern, what is intelligence but pattern recognition?
Yes.
You're seeing this pattern, you have to acknowledge that you're the common denominator of all these scenarios.
Hmm.
And even if consciously you don't want the abuse, you want to be cherished and loved, which of course you should,
Yeah.
but there's something in you
Yeah.
subconsciously
Yeah.
that believes that you deserve that,
Yes. Yes.
because that's how you attract that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there something like some negative belief about yourself, and then you're attracting something that's going to match that
Yeah.
frequency?
Yeah. It's the second hermetic principle, the law of correspondence. And that's
Right.
hard. That's really hard for in the work that I do, that my survivors to like really get on board with that. And
Yeah.
a lot of the times what I get is, and they'll be very, very upset. They're like, well, so they get all excused. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm asking you to consider. I'm asking you to consider what beliefs that you are holding internally that is going to be reflective of that reality and that
Right.
experience happening again and again. I'm not asking you to forgive anybody or to spiritually bypass or ignore or deny the horror that's happened to you. I'm not doing that, but I'm asking you to check out your belief structures internally. So,
Observe your own thought patterns. Yeah.
yeah, major, 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 major.
Yep.
Wow. Good for you. I just am like, I'm so impressed. I'm just,
Thanks.
well, it's like the people who are in my generation, that's why I'm really, one of the things that I'm enjoying about being on One Great Work Network is witnessing the young men and women like yourself blossom and evolve and tune in and be able to disseminate this important information in ways that a whole range of people are going to be able to get it and receive it, because this is critical. I mean, my generation, they're lost. Okay, they're lost. I've been the albatross of that generation. And so my kids are in their 40s now. So they're well on their way and they're rocking it, because we read the Hermeticum, So I was right there with them, let's go check this out and see, and it was a game. It was like a magic game to think in ways that reflected our divinity, that reflected the goodness that we inherently are, rather than, getting caught up, sucked in to this screen, this other reality of all of the mind control and programming, And so I am really impressed that you did all this pretty much on your own, and to be able to speak about it so clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank
I've spent
you.
a lot of time reflecting back on this journey.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're not quite finished yet as
Oh
far as
yeah, it's ongoing.
the lily pad hopping of paradigms, right?
Yes, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so we were at New Age, kind of
Yes.
exploring my consciousness and the edges of reality and all this kind of stuff. And at the same time, I was continuing to go down the truther rabbit hole, the red pill, and getting more into the kind of the roots, right? It's like you start with the conspiracy stuff because it's the fruit on the tree, well, the rotten fruit on the
Yes,
tree.
low hanging fruit.
It's the manifested products of the problems, that are creating harm in the world. And then as I kept diving, I was looking for like the root cause. What is the tip of the pyramid, for example?
Yeah.
And so at that time, I was getting really, really into like Jordan Maxwell, Michael Tessarian,
Yay.
and of course Mark Passio, which it's funny because I found Mark around 2010, 11, maybe. I think
Mhm.
2011, about his What on Earth is Happening presentation, the presentation
Yeah.
called that, which
Yeah.
is such a great tapestry of
Yeah.
just giving
Yeah.
you the big picture of
Yeah.
all of it, but just enough to give you the idea that then you can
Right.
go
Yeah. And
forward
an
with. So
invitation to go deeper.
yeah. So that one presentation was arguably one of the most impactful things I've ever seen or experienced in my life, that caused, that shift in consciousness. And so then I'm integrating all of this stuff, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
energy and like spirituality and conspiracy and like the dark cabal, right? The kind of hidden hand and the occult. But at the time, I started where most people do, kind of almost from the Christiany side, or where it's
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
oh, it's all just these devil worshiper evil people, and they use the occult. So the occult is like evil magic, and
Yeah.
not
Yes, that
understanding
was
that there's a
hijacked.
light. light side to it. And then
Mm-hmm.
that is so so important to understand, not just to like see it, but to take back the birthright of this knowledge of
Yes.
our fucking reality and the way it operates, so that
Yes.
we are empowered, we are reclaiming our magic, the light
Exactly.
magic, with the true will, right? Not the dark will, but the higher will
Yeah.
of creation. That is so so important. And so, like, then, I that's where the anarchism began to kind of come in, because it was like, okay, the problems are really freaking obvious now. I
Yes.
see it all. I understand all these machinations of how it's playing out in the world and causing all of this chaos. But the answer isn't voting or reforming the political system, or any of this kind of stuff. It was through the work of, first, Mark Passio's planting the seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's funny because, and I had a friend at the time who was actually an anarchist, which, I mean, we don't even talk anymore, but he was, I have to give him credit that, he was helpful to kind of like exposing me, like he was a cool guy. And so it was like, oh, well, what's this anarchy thing, And so, um, of all places, I kind of started with like Adam Kokesh's, Man on the Street
Yeah. Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about Adam. Like,
I
he's
I I
a
can
bit of a
appreciate Adam.
he's a bit of a interesting. Yeah, we'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that. But those videos were so useful because it was like he was the voice of reason, and the people on the street he was talking to was my programming. And he's just
Mm-hmm.
having these conversations, like
Wow.
working it all out. And I was literally rewiring my brain by watching these videos.
Wow,
But
that
then
is so good.
I got through all of that, and I was like, okay, I feel like I've been drinking Bud Light, and now I need like a Guinness. I need like
A
a thick
stout.
stout, right? Exactly.
A chocolate
So
caffeine stout. Yes.
that was Larkin Rose for me.
All
So I
right.
went to his channel. I was like, okay, now this is the really good stuff. Like, he's not holding back. He's telling it all the way, 100%. And at that point, I pretty much consumed everything on his channel, and there was no going back. I was an anarchist, and you can't unsee it, right?
I know you can't go back. Sorry.
And then, so I can get to the end of this never-ending story, but you see
It's
where like
awesome. I
each
love
piece
it.
is like falling into place, and
Yeah.
it's kind of rounding everything out.
Ah.
And so it's like, at that point, I think I had all the pieces, but I didn't have like the edge of the puzzle. I didn't have the framework to put it
Mm-hmm.
all in,
Mm-hmm.
and that was natural law. So when I really,
Yeah.
like, I knew Mark from way back, and then I'm like, okay, I I'm ready for the deep dive, and I consumed like just crazy all of his presentations multiple times, all of his podcasts, everything. And that was where everything culminated, because it's like, it's a spiritual framework,
Yeah.
natural law,
Yeah.
and
It
and
really is.
anarchism is a part of it, right? The consciousness and all of those kind of new agey, which, well, I wouldn't really call, but the things I learned about during that phase, that fit in there. The conspiracy fit, like, it all fit into place into this framework of natural law and occultism, right? And then the only thing I would say is left after that. Well, there's two more things after that, and then we'll be to up to date on the journey of Logan. But from there, it was paganism and animism. More specifically, paganism is the application of animism. That's how
Yes.
I
Very
I
much
speak
so.
of it, because animism is the mindset of uh understanding that you are nature and nature is you. You're not separate from it.
Yeah.
And then paganism is now act like it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Think your mind and your practices and
Mhm.
your cycles and stages with nature, because you're all part of the same system.
Yes. Yeah.
We go through seasons, right? As above, so below. So astrology is just
Right.
the astral projection of our own
Right.
psychology.
Right. Right.
All of these, that's the
I
framework
love
for
it. I love
that,
it.
right?
Mhm.
And that was, I think, the final like big picture piece for me as of yet. Who knows what the future has in store? And then the only thing since then has been the most recent paradigm shift is the concept of polarity and sort of what I call reclaiming my masculinity,
Mhm. Mhm.
understanding
Very good.
um because during my whole new age phase, I became aware of masculine and feminine from like this yin yang perspective.
Mhm.
I got into David Dita, if you know who that
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, I
Um,
do.
so like
Those
I
were
understood
some
it
my circles way
conceptually,
back when. Yes.
but as I said before, that whole realm is very kind of wishy-washy, right? Um, and so like it was all about, oh, you need to balance your energies, which is true to a point, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean like we're both equal parts masculine and feminine, men
Yes.
and women are both
Yeah.
doing this, and so like what's the point of even man and woman if we're all kind of like 50-50,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No. Yeah. I didn't buy that. Yeah.
So the polarity aspect was recognizing, oh, it's not just these cosmic energies that are all around creating everything and are interacting, right, in this cosmic sexual dance of masculine and feminine everywhere, but also its embodiment. That is the word that it comes down
Mhm.
to,
Yes.
is
Yeah.
embodying as a man my masculine power.
Yeah.
Like, just like in our biology, men still need a little bit of estrogen, but very small, right?
Yeah.
Just enough to keep things balanced,
Yeah.
right? And vice versa. So that's the balance. It's not just this androgynous 50-50 thing. It's like really the virile masculine power, but leading from the heart. That's the
Mhm.
feminine
Yes.
care,
Yeah.
right? You
Yes.
listen. You care about the people that you're affecting. You're still assertive, but you're not just acting out of self-interest.
Yes.
You're doing this for the good of all, right? And in the
Yeah.
good of like
Yeah.
acting out of truth and
Yeah.
justice and things like this.
Yeah. I call that our seventh sense. It's two parts, the divine masculine energies of gifting, giving,
Hmm.
defending, um, and the divine feminine of that, the receptive principle, the non-aggression principle. And
Right.
I mean, it just opens up so much fluidity between men and women, and not this, this locked 50-50 kind of, it's really this, it's martial arts when you think about it. And as a martial artist, I've really had to uh really practice that embodiment of being able to defend and also stepping back when there's nothing to defend. So the realm of being and doing and what that means, and it's not a static reality, it's fluid, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
To an extent, yeah, because energy is fluid, right? We
Mhm.
say the
Yeah.
flow of energy. Even
Yeah.
masculine energy has a flow to it, even
Yes.
though we would say flow is kind of a feminine
Yeah.
quality. But
Yeah.
that's the correspondence of the polarities,
Right.
right? With the
Right.
with the the dot in the other,
Yes.
right? I never have a good name for that. I've even tried
I
to
hear
look it
you.
up.
It's
There's
like,
like the dot thingy where
that thing.
they're like the same but they're different. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's it's nuanced, right? Um it's like when you are riding a bike and you want to turn, you don't just lean all the way over or you would
Yeah.
just fall,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
lean into it and it's like, it's like a
Yeah.
flow.
There's a feel, there's a feel for it that is, it's self-adjusting. And
It's
but you have to be
instinctual.
present. You have to be actually embodied in your
Mm,
physical body and tuned in. I call that,
yes.
the heart, mind, body, soul coordination, to
Yes.
really be in tune with what is occurring in any given moment and how to respond to that or how to act, or be in non-action, active stillness, as I call it.
Mm.
So cool. I am just like, yeah. So have you, I know that you, if I remember correctly, or maybe I don't, I could be making this up, but I remember you, like, there was, maybe it was last year that you were offering, that you offered a meditation practice. Am I making that up? I could be making that up.
I made a guided meditation video.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
free, it's on YouTube, so
Okay.
we
Okay.
could put
That,
one in the description if
okay.
anyone would
Cool.
like to check that out.
Yeah. We'll,
I'm
we'll
very
have,
proud of that because
that's
um
awesome.
I made every bit of it from scratch, including the music. So it's like a fully orchestrated time. It's got the breath circle that expands and tells you when to breathe, and the music
Nice.
matches it all the way through. It was like a lot of work, and it didn't get a ton of views, but I the people that have used it were like, "This is absolutely amazing," and they use it a lot and things like that.
Cool.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Because the breath
Mm,
meditation, or the being able to control your breathing
hmm.
and breathing conscious, I think is very key to the embodiment practice, especially when things happen. I mean, what are we doing when we are interacting with the world? We're waltzing in and out of the matrix. We are, our consciousness is what's waltzing in and out of the matrix. So when we encounter things that we don't like, or some shithead or some bully or whatever, to be able to be non-reactive but present to what's happening. I think this is where the practice of meditation and controlling your breathing consciously, comes in as a powerful tool to maintain your sovereignty, your presence, your awareness, so that you don't get locked into reactivity and immediately go unconscious. Um, so yeah, kids, we'll have all of his information in the show notes, where you can download this goodness here.
Mm.
And also, I realized that you did the soundtrack for Mark's film, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The science of natural
The
law.
Science of Natural Law.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so you're a composer and a musician. I've been on your other YouTube with your flute playing and just the guitar.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm just like, this is, it's like you're the Renaissance man, essentially. You've got a
I
lot
love that
of
you said that.
creativity going. It's cool.
That's so cool that you chose that word because that's a concept that I've always really resonated with and aspired to. From a young age, I really loved like Leonardo da Vinci because he was,
Mhm.
an inventor and a painter and a scientist and just all of these
Yeah,
things.
all of
I
this.
always thought that was so cool. And yeah, I mean, of course, I'm nowhere near his level. However, um, I do try to be I just I don't have limitations. If
Mhm.
something sounds interesting to me,
Yeah.
then I just go for it, And so a lot of people kind of find that I'm full of surprises because for example, I'll just pull out a Native American flute and start playing it and they're like, "Where the hell did that come
I
from?"
know, I know that was,
Or
but at the same time, I wasn't surprised, because you do have that eclectic, gentleness and this creative, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like not a lot of people have that. Like there are a lot of creative people, but you're like, for me, well-rounded. I consider myself very, very well-rounded as well. I
I would
play a
agree.
lot of different instruments. I have
Hmm.
7 albums under my belt, etc., and all that kind of stuff. And I was a professional dancer, perform martial, whatever. But it's one of the I think it's one of the golden threads that uh is sort of eternal within us. It's a pulse. It's one of the pulses of our souls, I think. And
Mm.
because I know it's not going to stop for me. um
Hmm.
a lot of my friends are retired and they're ready to die. And it's like I'm still here. I'm not ready
Hmm.
to go.
You just
I've got
getting
more
started.
I've got more stuff happening, more stuff,
Yeah,
really inspiring me. And so,
yeah.
what inspires you, just in terms of like your creations, like the whole thing with the flute? Does that just have you always been playing the flute?
No, um, I've always really liked the sound of a flute because it's just so like especially wooden.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a natural and soothing sound.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I had a friend pull one out one time when we were on a mountaintop mushroom experience, and he just
Nice.
started
My
playing it.
favorite kind.
I'd never seen one like that. It was a Native American flute, and I was just like, "That's really cool." So I went online and I ordered two of them, different sizes for different kind of key ranges because I actually like the deep ones. They just have this,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a violin is kind of almost shrill, but then you get the cello. It's like something about that
Yeah.
deepness. You're like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
sexy," right? But I was somehow I picked it up really quickly. I mean, I learned a bit of the technique, but I what I have going for me is my ears. I've always had a musical ear
Yeah.
from the very, very small
Yeah.
kid. I would sit down at the piano and I would start doing stuff, and
Nice.
people
Nice.
would be like, "Where'd you learn that?" I'm like,
Yep.
"Oh, I'm just
I just
playing."
heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the talent. That's the talent that you and I both have, to that really great ear where you can replicate what you hear.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
hear it within and you can play it in all instruments. I mean, it's kind of cool to be able to do that.
It is, and it's like I almost can't take credit for it because I was just born with that. I didn't really earn it necessarily, but I'm sure glad that I have it.
Yeah.
And like it, not even just music, but so another one of my secret talents that actually not very many people know that I have is voice impressions. So I can actually
Really?
do
Awesome.
like over 200 different voices that I have a list of in my
Oh my
computer.
God.
But that's something that I'm gonna start putting out at some point. I've been saying it for too long, but I'm just so limited on time
Yeah.
with everything that I have going on, driving the truck and the YouTube
Yeah.
and everything. But I'm absolutely going to do that. I'm gonna
Oh
start
my
making
God. Like
content
a
and
comedy
putting.
thing, or just vignettes?
I have some
Both.
ideas for kind of from sketches and things like that. Like I have this idea about what I would call lost audition tapes. So it would be take a pop culture movie that everybody knows, like Jurassic Park or something like that,
Mhm.
but then change the actors and pretend like this is what their audition was like.
Oh my
If
God.
like Anthony Hopkins had tried out for, you know, Star Wars or something like that. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Cool. Cool.
Concept like that.
All right, I look forward to that. How fun. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the creativity and the many, many facets. I mean,
Mm,
you are the Renaissance man, You're not limited to this thing. It's just it keeps
mm.
evolving and evolving and evolving, and you are well on your way, my friend. You know, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's funny how some people they just have their thing and then that's just their thing that they do like
Hmm.
fasting. and then they make a channel and it's all about fasting, and it's just like uh, I've got multiple channels, and even those, like, somebody's gonna go to it and be like, wow, like there's all different kinds of stuff. It's like I don't even know
Yeah.
what to make of this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's almost a blessing and a curse because it's almost too much to even like market or make
Yeah.
it make sense to
Yeah.
people.
Just do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do,
of
do your,
course.
don't even think about that, because I think that kind of stuff can like get in the way. It's too much overthinking. And so, and that, I think that's part of the creative flow. We're here to move formless into form in all the many unique ways that we are
Mhm.
here to do and create. So I love it. That's awesome. And you drive a truck. It's like, and it's a pretty truck. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah. I love it. I finally got my own truck last summer. So this is, and I'm in it right now for anyone who
Yeah.
was not aware of that. That's why there's a weird window behind me. I've got a basically a recording studio set up in the back of my in
That is
under
so
my, like,
cool.
my bed is up here and then I'm underneath it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
How is that?
drive
How is
for
that for you? I mean, you're driving every day practically.
hundreds of miles a day,
Yeah.
pretty much every day. And then I park and I do stuff like this, or I'm editing videos or playing my guitar or just, yeah, I'm always so busy. But I've got big plans and big dreams, and I'm not giving up on it. So I'm just gonna get there or die trying for
I
sure.
I love that. And I remember one of your posts. And I also want to check in with time because I think we've been at it. Wow, an hour already. Wow.
About an hour now, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
if you want to keep going, I've got
okay.
time.
Yeah. I
Not
want
sure
to.
how
I
long
want
you
to.
typically run.
So one of your posts recently was about the importance of like keeping your ideas close to your heart and
Yeah.
refraining from oversharing and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
I know that one, and I learned that a very, very hard way. Um,
Same.
um, because as a young person, I was always, and this was my wounding. Always wanting some kind of feedback, some kind
Hmm.
of reassurance, or what
Validation. Yeah.
validation exactly. And it was not forthcoming. And then finally, what ended up happening was being actually sabotaged by a really, really beloved friend. And it
Mm.
just crushed me.
Get
And
my camera focus here.
it's just so
So,
so awful to have that experience. So I feel you because
hmm.
not everybody in our sphere wishes us well.
Mm.
I mean, I'm reading this book on envy, and it is like it's super intense. It's like, oh, and to have that kind of energy thrown at you as an attack because somebody in your personal sphere or somebody out there is resentful of your audacity or or just who you are, whatever.
Hmm.
Not everybody is an ally, and to be able to discern and to be able to hold that back and to allow our creations to grow and blossom and bubble over. So I thought that was really a super powerful post.
Yeah, it's part of the magical practice. Magic is something that I have been doing for a few years. I'm not, you know, that advanced by any means, but even that in and of itself is something that I've kept kind of personal. I mean, I talk about it, but I don't get too specific with it
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
think magic is very personal, and you you don't want to over intellectualize it. It's not about following a rule book or
Yes.
doing some, like, oh, okay, I'm doing a spell and I did this part and I did this part. I mean, there's something to that. And of course you have to start somewhere, but you need, every person needs to kind of develop their own magic and find out things that work, because every person is different too, not just from a psychological perspective, but even from a traditional
Mhm.
or a ethnic perspective. There, what one type of traditional magic may not suit you, like respond to your DNA, like physically.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
so many aspects to that. Anyways, I'm getting a bit off track, but yes, keeping your creation like it's like your baby that's in the
Mhm.
womb.
Mhm.
It's embryonic, and
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's your prize. Like you got to protect it so much, and keep it safe from external influences of any
Yes.
kind,
Yeah.
or self-sabotage, or
Yeah.
any of those kind of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm working on some really big things right now that I just can't talk about.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have them rolling out here in the next few months. But
Cool.
mostly I've been focusing on just keeping the truck rolling, making good money doing that, and trying to save some money and invest some money in crypto mostly. And then um, just the YouTube channel, the Wizard Factory. I had to kind of take a break when I started driving again over the road,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it was so much acclimating to the lifestyle and making sure
Right.
my setup is all good, and all this kind of thing. But I'm pretty in full swing now, and I'm doing interviews again and
Yeah.
loving it. So
Cool. Cool.
that's really
You've
exciting.
got it dialed in. And that's part of it. This is part of your self-love and your self-care is really making the time and the energy and implementing certain things, structures, systems, um, to really allow you to be supported and allow
Mm,
you to not just be supported, but allow you to create and express and nurture all of that, as well as
mm-hmm,
taking care of business.
mm-hmm.
These are all the aspects of what it is to be a well-rounded, well-grounded, affluent, prosperous, creative, awake, sovereign human being.
Yeah, that's so true. And for me, structure is so important to that, because it's I mean, we could take it to the polarity sphere, even in just in the personal, like without in a non-relational way.
Mhm,
It's like everything we do is creative, which is a kind of the feminine aspect,
mhm,
the generative, right? You're
mhm.
generating something
Right.
into reality from nothing, but you need the masculine structure to create the container
Yes.
with which to
Yeah.
create those things,
Yeah.
and do so in a way that's sustainable,
Yes.
because if you're just doing too much of this one thing and then you're neglecting all these other things. See, right now for me, multitasking and keeping things all balanced is so crucial. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
Because I
I
just have
do.
so many things to stay on top of,
Yeah.
in addition to just driving the truck.
Yeah.
And then I get parked, and I've got my I use two programs that are like just like an extension of me practically, with how important they are. One is a more task oriented. It's called Taskade, and
Mhm.
it's all about like to-do lists, and you can schedule and
Yeah.
set reminders on it and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yeah.
the other is called Notion, which is more of like a note-taking kind of,
Mhm.
I think of it as a personal wiki,
Yeah.
because you can literally build pages inside of it. You can keep track of all the
Yeah.
information that you need to, and that's where I keep all of my like content ideas. That's
Yeah.
where I write my presentations.
So
And
good. I
so
got
I
the
sit
same
down.
things going on. Do you have Capricorn rising or something? Because I do. In fact, Lord Cappy wants to say hi.
For me, it's all about the Virgo
Ah,
energy.
okay.
There's
Okay.
that structure and
Yeah.
that attention to detail and
Yes.
just meticulous organization and all
Yeah.
of that.
My
I
guy is a
really
Virgo.
thrive at that.
Yeah. That's
Yes,
good. That's good. I've got
it's
a bunch
so
of Virgo
useful.
too. So it,
Yeah,
it, it really is, it makes sense to me. Like I know people who live literally in chaos where I'm a great
could
tracker.
not even think of functioning like that.
I could not do it. I have way too many things and I run like yourself, I run a very, very tight ship. I
Yeah.
am not a flake on, and I have to be dying to be a flake in some way. So,
Mm.
that those systems are really important. And what were those? What was the second system that you were talking about? What was it called?
Notion.
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 Okay.
It's yeah, both of them are free.
And I know they're
I
good.
literally researched for months just picking these
Hmm.
programs and then building my system inside of them. I've been using them for several years now, and they just continue to grow with like me adding and improving the systems and all this kind
Cool.
of stuff. I've even thought about making a course out of it because especially for content creators, because I made a system with Notion for content creation that's I mean, I've shown like Will and some people personally, and their
Nice.
minds were just blown.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds great.
What's cool is you can export templates. So what I would do, all it would be is a video showing you, here's my system, here's how it works and how to use
Mhm.
it, and then here's my actual template. So you don't even have to build it. You would just download it into yours and then
Oh
just
my
start putting your
God.
stuff into it.
Okay, we need to talk about that. I'm a mind mapper. So, I'm totally into mind mapping and it is
Notion, sorry,
uh,
not Notion, but
yeah.
Tascade has a mind map feature on it as
Ooh.
well.
Ooh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
I
telling you,
know
like they need to give me an affiliate program
they
because
do.
I'm
They really
so
do.
passionate about these,
Yeah. Well,
because they're
and
just
we
so
we need
useful.
these things, and
Right.
for me, like I have a library of notebooks. I need the notebooks, but I
Yeah.
also transfer those things into the systems that I'm using in
The
order
digital.
to visualize the cascade of things in the order that they need to happen because I'm like super anal organized like that. Um, and otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get all my stuff together. There's too many things going on. And I think that's part of, really taking responsibility and honoring our time, our worth, our creativity, our self-expression,
Mm,
and then the rendering, the implementation, and the nurturing and what it takes to sustain and build it.
mm,
So I mean it really is an honoring system.
mm. It's consistency. Yeah.
Yeah,
And all of those things you just said, that's self-care,
yeah,
right? Like expressing your true vision, your creativity, like those
mhm,
things are in you and they want to come out. They want to be expressed. They're
yeah,
your gifts.
yeah.
And a gift isn't a gift if you keep it to yourself, right? It's your gift because it was given to you, but only because you now have a responsibility to give that gift to the world.
Mhm.
And I think that's the key to human flourishment, essentially.
Yeah,
First of all, we have to get rid of all coercive systems of
yes,
violence.
yeah,
But that's just the first step
yeah,
of just, morality. But beyond that, that's the survival aspect, right?
yes.
And then the thrival aspect is if everyone is tapping into their true selves and learning their gifts and then giving those gifts to the world, there would be such an abundance of ideas and talents and skills
I
and
agree.
crafts, right? Crafting
I agree.
everything we could ever possibly want. There,
Yeah.
people there would be the best of any of it, you know.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, speaking of self-care, I am, yes, I want you to sleep because I realize, what time do you get on the road? Are you on the road early?
Oh, I get a I usually start driving between 8 and 9.
Okay.
Um yeah, nothing crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I like to get an earlier start, but it just doesn't always work out that way
Yeah.
because I'm kind of
Yeah.
a night owl. I get into a workflow and then it's late and I have to take my sleep,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
So I
I
don't
hear you.
compromise there.
I hear you. Well, it has been such a pleasure to
Likewise,
have this
thank you.
conversation with you. I mean, I'm so pleased. I'm just so thrilled. And I'm just so happy to know you, just as a young person, you figured it out. You did. You figured it out. Was it easy? Fuck no. But it's like this. I see this swirling in this energy vortex all around you that is just, it's just growing and growing and growing. And you've got all these facets about you that are surprising and wonderful. And, thank you
Hmm.
so much. I know this has been such an inspiration for everybody to listen to because, you know, we need more people like you who are actually going through the steps, and not just that, not just the steps, but going through the steps of, really honoring what you're being called, your soul
Mhm.
callings rather.
Yes.
Um, and making it so, rocking it. So
Yeah,
thank
that's
you
essential.
so
And
so much.
if you keep that as your North Star, then everything else will just kind of more or less fall into place. You still have to make things happen,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
things will go more in your favor and you just have to keep going. That's the other
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
Don't keep seeking truth, keep, you know, giving your gifts and discovering who you are and, doing the inner work, of course. It's
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really,
You're
really had a great
welcome.
time chatting with you as
Yeah.
well. And I hope the viewers got a lot of value and inspiration, hopefully, from this talk as well. Of course, anyone who's interested in, finding more of my work, of course, check out the Wizard Factory on YouTube, and you can find me on Facebook as well. I'm pretty active there. And maybe we just put my link tree down
Yeah, we'll
below,
put
and you
we'll
can
put all
follow
your
the
stuff on
the
there.
rabbit hole of that because
Yeah.
you go to that and it links to other link tree.
Yeah,
Like that's how I
it's
have it all set up.
fantastic. It's fantastic. I've been there. So,
And you just follow and go into whatever like calls to you because there's
yeah.
plenty there. So
Yeah, cool.
thank you.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
been a pleasure and have a great evening.
I will. All right, my loves, that is it for tonight. And so until next time, be good to each other, be good to yourselves. And here's to love, truth, and beauty. Mwah. Ciao, Bellas. Ciao, ciao.